A 3-year-old boy working as a chimney sweep in 1933. A baby found during the Chernobyl cleanup in 1986. Warsaw, 1948. David Seymour captured the emotional disturbed child, drawing a picture of home. Jacob Miller was shot in the head at the Battle of Chickamauga and walked it off. Eben Bayers was an American golfer who drank water with radioactive radium. Years later, as this photo depicts, his jaw completely fell off. This photo is of Violet Jessop, surviving the sinking of the Olympic, the Titanic, and the Britannic. She was dubbed the Queen of the Sinking Ships. A mother and her daughter, a day after her daughter had died in 1890. This was part of Victorian post-mortem photography. A creepy clown, all the way back in 1924. A picture of the boogeyman, used to scare children in 1922. A man pictured with a rare disease that makes his skin super stretchy in 1904. This photo was taken in an abandoned warehouse in Ukraine, the floor laden with gas masks. This is Omara Sanchez. She was a 13-year-old Colombian girl who died after the eruption of the Nevado del Rio volcano. Her legs were trapped under a door while she was submerged in water for 3 days. She died of exposure. Below you see the famous picture of Gordon, or Whip Peter. He was an enslaved African American who escaped from his Louisiana plantation in 1863, gaining freedom when he reached a Union camp near Baton Rouge. He had been viciously beaten by the plantation overseer and planned his escape while recovering. He soon fled on foot, rubbing his body with the farm's onions to mask the scent from the bloodhounds who were chasing him. Myrtle Corbin, who was born in 1868 as a dipygius, which is a medical term for having an extra pelvis. Myrtle spent her early years in a circus sideshow before later marrying a doctor. Raised 5 children, using both of her 2 functional reproductive systems, and lived to the age of 60. A lunatic's chair, given to patients who had poor behaviour or wild outbursts in a Dutch mental hospital in 1938. The bell rack, a contraption used by an Alabama slave owner to guard a runaway slave. The rack was originally toppled by a bell, which rang when the runaway attempted to leave the road and go through foliage or trees. It was attached around the neck. A belt passed through the loop at the bottom to hold the iron rod firmly fastened to the waist of the wearer. As many as 435,000 enslaved people lived in Alabama in 1860, composing around 45% of the state's total population. No evidence of an organised underground railroad has been found in Alabama, forcing scholars to assume that slaves seeking freedom in the state relied upon their own survival skills with help from the fellow slaves and free blacks, as well as some members of the white community. A Serbian psychiatric hospital, photo taken between 1999 and 2002. This picture is of an asylum patient restrained by wardens in Yorkshire, 1869. A patient undergoing lateral cerebral diathermy treatment in the early 1920s. Diathermia used a galvanized current to jolt psychosis sufferers. Doctors eventually deemed it unsafe and unreliable. The Pilgrim Psychiatric Center in Long Island, New York, is capable of housing up to 15,000 patients at a time. The self-sufficient mental asylum used extremely aggressive methods to cure the insane. Lobotomies and electric shock therapy were used. The doctors at the asylum started giving out extra doses of insulin and metrazole to patients so they go into a violent coma.